Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. They call this a sin because you're not supposed to have this many players on the court on the podcast, but I have the two-man combo guard, Jacob the White Knight. How you doing today, brother?
Yes, sir, brother. I'm doing well. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. And we have Lewis. It's been a while. How you doing today, brother?
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to be there. It's good to be anywhere. Hey, I appreciate you guys welcoming me back. It's good to have this four-way square dance going on, whatever you want to call it, man. It's just good to be here.
Hey, man, it's just like the Star Fox team. You're Slippy, man, right?
Hey, man, why I gotta be Slippy, man?
No, you are Slippy. It only makes
why
sense.
I gotta be Slippy, though,
hey, man, eat it. So anyway, and then, Lewis is going to be running the 5 Donkey Kong style, right? Kong Skull Island, right, Lewis?
Yeah, that's right.
And then we have running the wing, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, fam. Looking to talk some juicy basketball. We had a lot going on the last couple of days, so looking forward to it.
All right, I'm ready to take people on for a ride. LT, run that ball.
Hey, so there's a game going on right now, and there's a player that I wanted to bring up to both Jacob and Lewis. I guess he's here as well, and Starks, guy by the name of TJ Warren. Starks, you have been talking about him last couple of podcasts, and he actually went crazy tonight, bonkers. My question to you is: do you feel like someone who's looking for points in a points league or redraft league, should they be like pursuing TJ Warren moving forward? You think he can keep this up the rest of the year?
Well, it's hard to say it's going to be, a keep up situation. But, one thing that holds true is, Miles Turner's out, Dippo's out. They need that punch from the offense. It's not just going to be Jeremy Lamb alone. So it's good to see TJ Warren. And obviously we know Malcolm Brogdon's doing well. So they need that extra punch in that offense. And as you mentioned, I've been speaking about him in a few podcasts. He had a great game with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. One thing that I will say is he's a player that I believe is going to be a breakout player as long as he's on the court. That's always been the issue with him. As far as, trying to buy into him, I will still try to buy low on him. I know that's not a popular choice by, many people in the community, but that's where I stand. Jacob White Knight, what you think, man?
Yeah, man, I just want to echo what you said. I mean, absolutely, because Turner's out and Sabonis was out, somebody had to step up. And so with Warren, I know that you said to buy low, but I think this is a nice sell. I think this is a nice sell high moment right now. Just he was super efficient, and he should get that volume for as long as Turner is out, or at least somewhere close to it. But if Sabonis' injury isn't that serious, I wouldn't really overreact to this game. Just super quick before I pass the ball to Lewis there, I just want to say that TJ Leaf had himself a game, and I'm super surprised. I was about to write him off. Like, he hasn't done anything this year, and he came out of nowhere. So I'm impressed by him. But I want to see what Lewis thinks about TJ Warren. What do you think there, buddy?
You said TJ Warren, right? We talk about TJ Warren from the Pacers.
From the Pacers. He used to be on the Suns. Now
it says here, man, according to my calculations, back in November, just a few days ago, he went only 1 from 8 from the field. Oh, man, with 3 rebounds and nothing else in 28 minutes from Cleveland. Is that to be accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate, man.
That's accurate. So what you can say is he might be inconsistent, right?
That you could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so based off of those numbers, I mean, it was just one game, and, it's awesome to see a player like this explode out of nowhere, but I'd have to wait and see, before I buy in and believe into it. So, I'm going to go ahead with the sell high approach, honestly, based on what I've seen.
Nice. Well, LT, what you think, LT, man? That was good stuff.
Yeah, no problem. I actually am going to be pursuing. I feel like you should start pursuing TJ Warren. I feel like on this team, one of the things that I was talking about on the previous podcast is that their rotations are set in stone. I feel like even when Dippo comes back, even when even when the big guy comes back, they're going to keep TJ Warren in that starting rotation. The odd man out to me is going to be Lamb Chop Sing Along. He's going to be the odd man out.
Where kids come to sing along.
Hey, exactly. He's going to be the odd man out once everything kind of normalizes in Indiana. So I think that if you can put some stock, or if you have stock in TJ Warren, that you kind of ride it. He may have he had a bad game last game, but I know I just showed our listeners he's been actually pretty good before then. He went for 20 the game before and 19 before that. So he's actually
okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and steal the ball from you real quick.
Go ahead.
So are we like just riding the wave like we're Captain Jack Sparrow, or are we like actually believing and pursuing in this player? Because to me, when I see stuff like that, it kind of reminds me of Alex Lynn. Explodes one moment and then like the next moment he just like disappears.
Cool. So let me steal the ball on top of a steal, right? So it looks like it's 2-2, right? We kind of go half on this, which is perfectly fine. But I also want to touch up on a guy in the Dynasty format that I think it's important that I've been beating the drums about is Goga Bitadze, if that is the right name, hooked on phonics. But he got the start finally. Yeah. Obviously, with the bonus being out, he got the opportunity to start. Now, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, but the slap is what I love. The 4 slaps that he received is going to be an efficient player that people could overlook in a shallow league. And I actually was able to grab him in a deep redraft league. Now, Dynasty owners, I'm telling you now, I'm buying in if you can and try to poach him off a GM, because Miles Turner, I love Miles Turner. I'm sure everybody knows that by now. But the thing about Miles Turner is he's always sometimes find himself with a possible injury. And it's times that this happened, they drafted Goga for a reason. There was a little concern is if Sabonis was going to get traded throughout the offseason or if he was going to sign with somebody else. And then it was like Miles Turner. There was reports saying Indiana didn't even know if they wanted to sign Miles Turner. I mean, I thought it was complete baloney, but hey, this is where we are. I do like his upside. He's going to give you the good percentages, and that's something not to take lightly. And then, honestly, just like what Jacob said with TJ Leaf, writing him off, I think this is just more of an outlier game. I'm not going to rush out to grab him out in any league. But, hey, he could be a streaming option, obviously, with these injuries that's formulating. Going on to the Chicago side of things. And actually, before I do that, Malcolm Brogdon, again, guys, he's having these good games, man. I mean, we have to take this serious at this point in time. So if you did draft him in any league, you guys should be excited. We are. So we'll jump on the Chicago side of things. And then after we talk about the Chicago game, we'll kind of talk about the ADP game on players that we think can be realistic or kind of on the fake side of things. So Chicago, I will pass you the ball there. LT, what's your thoughts on Chicago's game there?
Man, this game specifically, I was looking at some of the stats earlier and throughout the game, and I'm really worried about Lauri Markkanen. He started off really hot, but he has definitely taken a back seat the last couple of games. He only took, to me, he's the second or third, option on this team, and he took 9 shots behind a Thaddeus Young appearance. That's right, Thaddeus Young is back. Thaddeus Young took 13 shots. So to me, Lauri needs to start being more aggressive with the rock, taking more shots, applying himself into this offense. Zach LaVine did his thing, normal, pump up the volume. And for Wendell Carter Jr., owners, you love what you're seeing the last couple of games. He's definitely doing a lot better than in the beginning of the season. What do you think, White Knight?
Could not agree more. Lauri Markkanen needs to step up, needs to be more aggressive because he's playing scared right now. He's only taken 9 shots, and usually he's taken up in the upper teens to like the lower 20s, but like it seems like he's just ceding shots to LaVine, and to Thaddeus Young. I mean, like that's weird. I mean, like usually he's just getting you steals, but now he's pumping up the volume. I mean, that's an outlier. But hey, Thaddeus Young's pretty efficient, but I'm not going to give up on Markkanen so fast. I really think he's going to right the ship. He just needs to get some more confidence. I don't know if he needs to hear his coach say, just shoot the ball no matter what, even if you don't make it, because he just needs to keep shooting until he finds the right rhythm. Because before this game, his ADP was around like 50 range, and it was around like 43 range, and he's playing around the 50 range. So it's not like he's a bust by any means.
Yeah, true.
I expected him to be a much better player, and right now he's just playing where we all thought that he would be, and he's struggling currently. So I definitely think this is a beautiful buy low moment if you can, because I do think that he rights the ship. But I do want to see what you gentlemen think. I'm going to pass the ball to Lewis there. What do you think about our boy?
Oh, man, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and go along with you with that. Like, certain players, I believe, they got to be put in a certain situation. We haven't seen him in that situation where he has to step up, and take initiative like that. We got old vets out there like that, taking a shot and things like that. But, we have to remember that we're still early off in the season. Right. And, when those old heads like that go down, he might get the position where he has to go out there, step up and be a man, and he has no choice to be the man that we believe that he can be.
So to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and then also it looked like Otto Porter, the transporter, had a poor game. Unfortunately, Chicago in particular, again, we're playing the musical chairs game.
With the transporter?
I did say the transporter.
Well, he's cranking out.
Hey, he's cranking.
Okay.
And then, the guard situation is still the musical chair game. It's unfortunate with Sato, Chris Dunn, and Kobe White. I hope many of you guys that drafted avoided the situation. But if you had to choose one, Satoransky had a, not too bad of a game, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. I'll leave it there. And then we'll kind of transition. And before we get in transition to the ADP game, essentially, is Wendell Carter Jr., just like what LT was talking about, had an excellent game for those that took a risk on him in particular. 20 points, 10 rebounds. In a dynasty format, you love this. What you don't love is what he shot at the free throw line, 2 for 6. And that's okay. But what is a little bit concerning that could potentially be also a lightweight outlier is that he was super efficient, 9 for 10. That's not a common thing that's going to happen for an NBA player in particular. But I'll say this. It's just like, the White Knight had mentioned. It's like Zach LaVine. That's the one thing that's concerning with me. He's a good player, but he's pumping up the volume, and he's taking all of that usage away from the Chicago team in particular. And that's something I don't like to see. Marketing should have more shots than that, just like what everybody talked about. He just needs to just take more assertive and responsibility. Lewis, what's up, man?
Hey, man, I feel like you're being a little harsh, man. Maybe that eye inflammation just carried over into the next game, man.
Hey, maybe that could be true. That definitely could be true. So starting out the ADP game, White Knight, do you have a player that you want to nominate for us, man?
Yeah, right. When you said this, I thought, the first person I thought of was Andre Drummond. Any scoring format that you see, he is the number one player. And right now, it's not even close. I mean, he's just racking up those points and rebounds and blocks like it's candy, he's just killing it. So, so he was taken in the late second round, early third round this year, and he is a number one player, like I was saying. So I want to pass the ball to Starks here. What do you think about Drummond, and do you think that this hot start will last, or what?
I think it's realistic. Now, obviously, when Blake Griffin comes back, it's going to change a little bit and alter. But as I started this podcast this year in the Dynasty format, I kept saying, why does it seems like, we like Andre Drummond, but I don't think he gets talked about enough because he's a first round value type of player. If you punt free throw percentage, he's essentially universally the number one player. And I mentioned this last year, what people may have forgotten. Let me bring it back to your memory. Is that last year, the last 2 months of the season, even if you wasn't punting categories, he was the number one player in fantasy the last 2 months of the season. That is something that was ignored. And then obviously last year, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll still pull up the stats. Actually, last year, he was a top 18 player. Now, if you punted, again, free throw percentage, he's a first-round value. So the thing about him is, as LT and I always says, he's going to give you those double-double vision stats almost essentially any game at any point in time. LT, I know that you're an Andre Drummond guy. I'll say this. I will say this. I do buy that he could be the first round value, but he's going to still take some dips. And he's averaging close to 20 rebounds a game. That's not something that's going to be lasting this season. I'm not saying that, but it needs to be highlighted on that he's averaging 22 points and 18 rebounds right now in this season. And another thing that is overlooked is he's averaging 2.6 slaps a game. That is outrageous because he's going to give you those steals as LT. This is out of position steal stats from a big man. Not bigs do that. And I think that's something that's also overlooked. LT, what's your thoughts on Drummond, man?
Man, he is killing it right now. And I think we have to take a little bit of grain of salt. Not saying that Drummond is going to just fall off the face of the earth, but he is doing this without Blake Griffin in the lineup.
Yeah,
Once Blake Griffin gets into the lineup, Blake Griffin is a known rebounder, double-double type of guy. It's almost maybe in a good way, take some pressure off of Drummond, but he is playing out of his mind. If you look at his minutes per game, 35 minutes for a big man is unheard of. With his free throws are at .643. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, White Knight, that's probably the best I've seen, maybe his free throws. So he's actually staying on the court at the end of games. That's the big thing with Drummond. They would have to pull him at the end of games because of the hack of Drummond now. And so him being on there, he's getting those end of game stats. He's racking up rebounds, points. It's crazy right now. So yeah, if you picked him up, he was second, third round. Whew, you're bringing in the cash.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I bet. And, I'm disgusted to even hear about this right now because I wanted Drums. I waited. I sit up there and try to draft him third round, and he got snatched up in our listener league, man. And I sit up there and I chose Embiid instead, man. While Embiid's over there shadow boxing, trying to pick fights with Carl Towns, man. I'm sitting up here disgusted to my stomach as I see, Drums, the opportunity that I could have had with Drums, man. I believe the hype, man. He's gone from Diddy Kong to Donkey Kong. So enjoy. If you got him, man, if you can get him in a steal, man, like Stark says, license the deal, man. Get out there and deal.
Jacob, what's your thoughts, man?
Oh yeah, I mean, his free throws are absolutely a career high. His career percentage is under 50%. Okay. So I'm curious if this is sustainable, but I think, he was still young enough to right the ship and to hopefully do better. And like you said, they're not playing like a hack of Drummond. But I see him staying in the top 10. I see him going down a little bit, probably like to the 8, 9, 10 range by the All-Star break, just because I think like the free throw percentage goes down to earth a little bit. And once, like you said, Blake Griffin comes back, he'll go down a little bit, but still he's going to rack up those rebounds. He is like a rebound machine. He also blocks and steals, like Starks was saying. And so, I'm going to
go ahead and steal the ball from you real quick, White Knight. I keep hearing the name Blake Griffin this, Blake Griffin that, man.
Ever heard of him?
Forget, Blake Griffin be staying injured too, man. I'm not worried about Blake Griffin, man.
Dang,
I feel like Drums is here to stay, man. What are your feelings on that, White Knight, man?
No, I mean, it's a perfect argument because like there is no like set time for him to come back. Like all it's saying is that I'll be back soon. Well,
yeah. Honestly, to add on to what the White Knight just said, man, I've read the book before, man. I used to be super high on Blake Griffin, and then like I got him in a trade, I believe, like 2 years ago, and he was injured, and we kept on getting this. Oh, we don't know when Blake Griffin's coming back, man. I've read the book before. I'm tired of the book, man. I'm ready to move on.
Awesome. It's awesome. Let me go ahead and bring up a player and nominate for the ladies and gentlemen here. The player that I want to bring up that I think it's interesting, needless to say, is Troy Brown Jr. And this is like dynasty format. I want you guys to kind of think outside the box. He's top 60 in the 9-cat category league. He just came off an injury, and I think I just spoke about him on the previous episode yesterday when I went solo, I believe. So he's averaging right now, just 2 games, 9 points, 1 snipe, 4 rebounds, assists, a steal and a half, a 0.5 steals, field goal percentage is high, 63%, and he's shooting 100% at the free throw line, which is an outlier. But, and obviously him finishing in this situation is interesting, but I will pass you the ball there, LT. What's your thoughts on Troy Brown Jr. from the Wizards, man?
All right, so I actually don't know too much about Troy Brown Jr. to be honest with you. I don't know too much about him.
Well, let me go ahead and help you out real quick with that, brother. Let me go ahead and help you out real quick. Yeah, that's right. I saw the ball. He put up 14 points in his debut, 17 minutes, and he was better across the board off the bench again. He's a great bet to get the starting nod once he's fully cleared without a minutes cap. And basically, he's added even a stronger game after tonight, and he should be owned. And this was on the first. and 12-man standard leagues. That's what they're saying about him.
White Knight, what you think about Troy Brown Jr. for the Wizards, man?
Yeah, I really like him. I like the opportunity there. And like you said, it's only been 2 games, but he was coming off an injury and he was actually expected to start before he went down. So I think his role will keep growing as long as he produces in this limited amount of time. I mean, he's averaging just under 20 minutes, but like he gets you those valuable stock stats like the steals, a block every now and then, but you really want him for the steals. So he can definitely be a streaming option for you if you're desperate for steals right now. But as his role grows, I can definitely see him providing some solid value. And like you said, the Wizards are a wasteland team, and so the Wizards definitely want him to keep growing and be a huge part of their offense. So that's where I stand with Troy Brown Jr. I would definitely keep him on your watch list in like a 10 and 12 team, and definitely stream him if you need those steals for sure.
All right, I'm going to ball hog this again real quick. Yeah, Troy Brown is a player I'm interested in the Dynasty format. If he's available, pick him up. But, LT, I want to pass you back the ball on another player, and then if you can nominate after that. What's your thoughts on Kristaps Porzingis? It looks like he started to fade a little bit, and he's fallen in the rankings at 67 right now. So he's currently around the 6th-round value-ish. So, what's your thoughts on him? Do you think he's going to hover around this range or have better or get worse?
So, to be honest with you, Porzingis is someone I was actually pretty high on going into the season. I think he's going to hover around this area, though. And the reason why I think he's going to hover around this area is because Luka Doncic is just that good. I think that Kristaps is going to be the Robin in that situation. And I think at the end of the season, he'll be better than he is now. I think he is top 50 talent. But I think that's Luka Doncic's team. That's his team to run. He's going to put up the more minutes, the more stats. And the one thing that Porzingis can do that he has been doing is getting those blocks. So if he can continue to sustain those blocks throughout the rest of the season, I see him getting into that top 50, but not getting any higher than that 40 to 50 range, to be honest with you. What you think, White Knight?
Yeah, he's been getting a block every single game except for the last game against the Lakers, but I think that was just more of an outlier just because it was such an intense game, and I think he was playing more away from the basket and not under the hoop. And so, but I think that's definitely an outlier, and those blocks will continue to stay steady, which, like you said, is extremely valuable when a big man is getting threes and blocks. So I definitely think he is currently the 81st ranked player, but I definitely see him creeping up, staying below the top 75. And I still think he'll creep up into the top 50 as long as he stays healthy. But I want to know what Lewis thinks about Porzingis.
Well, I was listening to what both of you guys have to say, and I'm in complete agreement with you guys. I mean, let's not forget that, he's just rushed coming back this year. He came off a serious injury. So, right. I mean, even though he's getting great run right now, I still believe they would have to, make, if I was the coach on that team, I would still try to be cautious. When you get, when you're coming back from an injury like that, you're still going to, you want to get the best bang for your buck out of your player, but you don't want to rehatch a new injury. So I believe, towards the end of the year, like Sage said, is where he's going to, start to hit that, top 50 player mark.
Yeah, I'll just say this real quick. What's really damaging his value right now is the percentages, because he's not a 68% free throw shooter, so he'll be finding that field goal percentage is dipped at 41%. It's going to be fine. And the only thing that's concerning with me is just the load management or injury. But to me, honestly, he's a top 30 player or better. So honestly, if you can buy low on him and you're willing to take that risk, honestly, maybe even a top 25 player or better, then go ahead and do it, because what he can produce, just like LT said, he was, he's pretty high on him this year. I was a little bit against the gram. Like, I don't know. I'm a little concerned because are they going to, have the load managed? Or are they going to kind of dial down on his minutes for them to kind of just, give him the stroke on the ego side. Well, I wouldn't even say ego, but to give him that opportunity to get minutes straight out the gate, that was a beautiful sight to see. And he could be the top 25 player or better as long as it's on the court. That's the only thing that's holding him back. LT, do you want to nominate somebody for us, man?
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to speak on this player. I actually I didn't understand why he was going fourth to fifth to sixth rounds, and that's Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry has right now he's currently in the fifth, sixth position in your leagues right now overall, and he is killing it this year, just absolutely killing it. And he was going in your fifth or sixth rounds. And one of the things I wanted to speak on is this sustainable for Kyle Lowry? His conditioning looks good. That's the biggest problem with Lowry over the years is conditioning, and his conditioning looks good. And as we always talk about those rounding rotations. The Raptors have a very strict 7, maybe 8-man sometimes rotation. Those starters get heavy minutes every single night. So you may see some load management if they're high up, later down the year. But to be honest with you, you can ride Lowry the rest of the year. In my book, he was a great steal in the draft. What do you think, Lewis?
Honestly, man, and this goes. I don't know how to even express myself with this, but I saw Lowry a couple times in the league, so I was drafting, and I'm guilty of letting him fall, man. I just didn't believe, man, but he's making a believer out of me right now, man. Basically on the second, he went off for like 36 points with 5 triples. That's like insane to me. I'm like, man, I was sleeping at the wheel. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude doing this, man. But like, I don't know, man. All I have to say about him, man, is like, I didn't think he would be producing like this right out the gate.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that White Knight?
Yeah. So a little bit about me and fantasy. I tend to hold grudges against players if they do me dirty, and I'm
proud of you, brother.
I appreciate that, Lewis. Thank you, man. All the support needed. But I'm just like, he tanked my field goal percentage one year in the championship, and so like he's always hovering around like that 40%, 42%. Right now, it says that he's currently at 47%, which would absolutely be a career high, and he's never been at 47% since he played for the Rockets back in 2008.
What a stat!
So, man,
thank you.
Took us back.
Yeah, so man, I do not see that sustaining, and at 38 minutes a game, almost 39 minutes a game, it's definitely not sustainable. That's insane. Yeah, I don't.
So what you're saying right now? What you're saying right now, White Knight? Sorry to steal the ball from you. Is like he basically just, he was sitting down in the movie theater one day eating his popcorn, and he hopped in the DeLorean, and somehow he went back in time, and basically these numbers aren't sustainable. That's what you're telling me.
Apparently, I mean, like, he must have been fueled by Kawhi leaving and knowing that it's his team. So I don't know if that's it, and he's just like, play me until the wheels fall off, please. I mean, like, he's going bonkers right now.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Yeah, so I definitely don't see this sustaining. What is it? He's a number 6 ranked player. I definitely see him somewhere in the 20s by the All-Star break, but he's off to a torrid start. As Starks would say, if you can sell high, I would. I don't know if Starks would. I'm actually curious what your thoughts on that stuff.
Yeah, I am too, man.
This is not sustainable. I don't believe so, but I'll say this. A few years ago, I was looking at some information back then, since you took us back to the Houston days, which was beautiful, is when he got these minutes, like several years ago, he was a top 12 player or better. And I was like, what? But the thing is, these minutes to me, it can't be sustainable just because he always, I don't know if anybody remembers, if you ever had him in fantasy, sometimes during the end of the season, he starts to just kind of slowly fall off, or sometimes little injuries, knickknacks kind of come his way too. For some reason, it always comes his way. But I'm willing to, I wouldn't say I'm buying to this spot. I think top 25 player or better is where it's at, just because of why Toronto runs such a tight ship the rotation there, just like LT says. So how many players is it, like the 7-8 man
it's
rotation?
Like a 7-8, like strict.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So it's really strict, and to get all those minutes, I am concerned because he's obviously past his prime years, but he's still doing good. What is he, about 33, 34? So I'm willing to try to, okay, I'll say it like this. How my team is built, because we're kind of prefaced on Dynasty, but we give you guys that redraft flavor with points. But in the Dynasty format, if I'm in a situation that I'm in a win now type of season this year, I'm all in. My chips are all in on him, unless I can get something back in return that someone I can get, maybe a little bit younger, a top 25 player that someone might perceive to be a player. They think this guy's going to be a top 12 player. That's what I would be concerned about. That's what's not sustainable to me. But if someone, let's just say hypothetically on the lines of, I wouldn't say, okay, for instance, this is not going to happen in the Dynasty League, but you never know, right? Donovan Mitchell is a top 20 player. Kyle Lowry's having a better season right now. Obviously, it's too early in the season. If we kind of go back, if we go into the future, and it looks like Donovan Mitchell is going to fall back down because of some inconsistency, because he's still young. Let's just say maybe he's about a top 40 player. And Kyle Lowry, let's just say he's about the 15 ADP range. Someone that is thinking in their mind that they're going to win now with the stats of Kyle Lowry, I'm going to be honest with you. I would hope that GM doesn't hope that way, because if you're still in a win now situation, this is kind of a cheat code for the listeners. I would still, even though Kyle Lowry would be, maybe hypothetically, just spitballing here, if Kyle Lowry is playing better than Donovan Mitchell before the trade, Yahoo, Fantrax, ESPN deadline, I'm willing to kind of trade him away, right? Because I'm going to get a younger player back. And that's what people kind of get confused in Dynasty formats. Just because you either build young or build old, or you know what I'm saying, you don't have to just keep drafting young players. There's always a way to trade players to get younger. And I think a lot of people kind of look over that. So, Lewis, did you want to actually bring up a player and highlight on that's having an interesting year?
You know what? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to go ahead and come out the blue and nominate JaVale McGee. That's right.
Whoa.
Shaq and the Fool. What's your thoughts on JaVale McGee, Sage? I'm going to ask you, since you drafted him, you were bragging to me about getting him over Dwight Howard.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely bring up that. So my initial thought process on JaVale McGee is that he's the more athletic big man, in my opinion, based on how Dwight's played the last couple of seasons. Also, McGee is used to the offense. He played in LA before. You would think he would get the job done a little bit more efficiently than Dwight. I always thought Dwight lost a couple steps, but looking at the season, he seems renewed. Playing Eddie Murphy during Halloween, I guess, renewed some of Dwight Howard's strength. I don't know, but he came out right after that. He came out and he played his heart out these last couple of games. And McGee seems like he's Shaq and the Fool all over the place. What do you think, White Knight?
Well, it's
Absolutely.
funny. No, I'm gonna go ahead and steal the ball from you, because it's funny you would say that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I will. Thank you. But anyway, it's funny that you would say that, because he was killing it in the preseason. It seemed like Dwight Howard was like in his shadow, but out of nowhere, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and read this to you. It says JaVale McGee played 12 minutes versus Dallas, and this was on the second. And he said he started. He only had 2 points, 2 rebounds, and a block.
Right.
And it says right here, McGee has nothing going for him right now and is a drop candidate in standard leagues until he shows us otherwise. I mean, it just feels good to have Dwight Howard right now, but we're talking about JaVale McGee right now. What's your start? White Knight, what's your thoughts on that?
Can I steal the ball real quick, White Knight?
Oh, no,
absolutely.
Can I steal the ball quick?
Go
So
ahead.
just for our listeners, Mr. Lewis is salty because he actually came to me for JaVale McGee earlier in the year, and I shut him down. I sent him a couple of mean pictures about Luffy, if you know about Monkey D. Luffy, because he has long arms. and he seems a little salty about it. I'll go ahead and just give you guys a recap of what's going on here. Go ahead, White Knight.
Yeah. I mean, since you want to bring up history, man, I guess it's like, man, you were like Charles Barkley and Shaq right now, but the shoe's on the other foot, and my foot's bigger.
What?
Oh man, here we go.
Oh man, yeah, man. I guess you guys are gonna have a big, huge hug with like the Townsend and Embiid, huh? That seems like that type of fight is
exactly
gonna go
what's
down.
happening right now.
Right,
the huge hug.
Yeah, but we enough of us. Let's go ahead and hear Starks and the White Knights input on this.
No, I mean, JaVale McGee had a nice year last year. I honestly felt like it was an outlier year, to be honest with you. Now, I didn't think he was going to be this poor to start the season, only averaging 17 minutes versus last year to 22 minutes. Maybe that thing, that kind of changes. But what is unfortunate is that blocks, you draft him from blocks, and he's not even averaging a block this season. And that's a concerning thing. And that's probably potentially why he's not on the court. Dwight Howard almost looks like a little bit of a rejuvenated guy out there, but that's kind of where we're at. I'll pass you the ball there, White Knight. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it's really tough to hold on to him in a 10-man league and a 12-man league. I mean, like, I don't know why you would.
I dropped him too.
Yeah, I would.
Unless you're the Sage.
Yeah, unless you're the Sage.
Sage, I mean, you still got him, Sage? It's okay.
I actually don't think I have him, to be honest with you. Do I still have him? I'm pretty sure I dropped him.
It's hard to drop him just because of that block potential.
That preseason, man.
Right. But he's just getting outplayed by Howard, as we've all been saying, and Kuzma's back, so he's taking all of his minutes. So like McGee's getting like the ceremonial start, but then he's getting benched super quick. So it's really hard to hold on to him outside of like 14 or 16 or like 20-man leagues. It's really tough. But I will say, Howard isn't the most durable guy these days. So if he goes down, then JaVale's value skyrockets. It's just hard to predict.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is just keep him on your watch list, man.
I would keep him on your watch list. I would not roster him, but just be ready to pounce if you hear that Howard's out,
I do remember now. I tried to get rid of him, but I lost a couple waivers this week, so there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think since you got a little bit more time there, White Knight, I guess the nomination. Do you want to nominate someone for us there, White Knight?
I do. I want to nominate someone who's been struggling this year, and it's not due to injury. It's just due to he's not living up to the billing, and that's Buddy Hield. He was his ADP to start the year was around the mid to late third. He's currently 125 in 9-cat leagues. Which is around the 10th to 11th round value. So I don't really know what's going on there in Sacramento. I know that there is Rashawn Holmes resurgence, and that's like the huge news over there. But Buddy Hield is struggling right now, and I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do better, but how much better? And what's going on down there? So I want to pass the ball to Starks there. What do you think about Buddy Hield?
Well, one thing that is a concern for me is I thought maybe he would increase his steal rate. It seems like he's still at the 0.7, exactly the same as last year. Now, it's still too early to say that he can't bump that up. But I remember seeing a game recently. He had a goose egg, a hamburger zero, like on that steal. I'm just like, gosh, you pumped up the value one of those games, and you shot very inefficient and did nothing at that point in time. Now, he's ranked in the 9-cat category league 151. And, I mean, better days are to come from him. But I'll say this. I can kind of backtrack a little bit. I think he's not going to be the player that – let me try to say this. He'll be a top 50-ish player, but I thought maybe another resurgence would come out of him because he finished top 38 last year, and it seemed like he got better every season or pretty much in his career. So I think better days are to come. He's been inefficient. He's actually having a pretty good night, but I'll cover that here momentarily. The field goal percentage is what's killing him, and that's not the realistic thing that's damaging. Shooting at 38% versus him being around the 44 range or even higher last year at the 45 range. So that's where we're at. And then at the same time, his 3-point made obviously as well this year has took a slight dip. His points is dipping. The rebounds is dipping. And then just like how you said, the resurgence of Holmes there. So Sacramento's actually just been an unfortunate offense this year. Hopefully they get back to things that are, what they were doing last year. That's kind of where we're at this point in time. But Buddy Hield, I'm still buying in, and hopefully you can poach him off an owner, because I'm sure some gave up on him. But one thing that is concerning for me is exactly that steal rate. I don't know if that's going to bump up or not. So I'll pass you the ball there, LT. What's your thoughts on Buddy Hield there, man?
Man, you guys are about to get a lot of metaphors here. So if you need some jeans out there, Buddy Lee jeans, go ahead and strap them on, put them on. I want to give our listeners some insight on his numbers this year. Overall, he has two very, very bad games. Games. One game in Utah, one game in Denver, where he scored 3 points, and then the next game he had 5 points. Every other game this year he scored 20, 28, 21, 23, 18, and 19. So in points leagues, he's actually fitting the bill for you. In category leagues, like Stark said, you definitely want to see more stock stats from him. He's turning it on a little bit now. Looks like maybe they're getting into the groove, but reading is fundamental. And Starks, who hit that game winner the other night?
From what, Sacramento?
Sacramento.
Oh, who hit it that last night? Please.
Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble. So Barnes and Noble's actually started, and so and hit the game winner for them. So like I stated earlier a couple of podcasts ago, I'm worried about Barnes. He can, score as well. And so if he comes on and starts to go into one of his little streaks of scoring, 15, 20 points a game, I think that hurts Hield. But I don't quit on him yet. He had a couple of bad games in there, really hurting his averages, really hurting his percentages. The last thing I'll state, he is not getting to the free throw line at all. He needs to be more aggressive, stop settling for them shots. He's had 0 attempts, 4 games in a row. He had 0 free throw attempts. That's you can't do that. If you're going to be a star, if you don't want that contract, you got to put your head in there and get some free throws. So I'll go over to you, Lewis. What do you think?
Man, I said it before, and I'll say it again, man, on a couple podcasts ago, man. I feel like it has something to do with the Kings, man. Like I said, people go there, they get pissed off, man. Not that I don't know, man. It's just weird, man. Like it even says right here, like, Hild's efficiency last year was incredible, and now he gets to the Kings, and it's just like you're wondering, like, what's going on here, man?
Yeah, let me steal the ball from you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just seen this stat here that is something that it shines a little bit more hope for him coming his way. Obviously, he's not going to finish in the top 151, but his usage rate has bumped up 2 this year versus his career. He had a usage rate of 24.2. His usage this year is 26.8. Now, he's not taking the attempts as much as he was pumping up the value last year, but that can change. What that means to me is there's indications that he's having more of the ball in his hand. And another thing that's hurting his value, as LT, he really doesn't like getting hit with this, is his turnovers. He's getting hit with 3.3 turnovers this year versus under 2 the last couple of years in his career. So he's having the ball more in his hands, but he's turning the ball over.
Would you say that's, the Kings' fault, though, that they're putting pressure on him, as far as, out there struggling, trying to get wins, man?
Hey, it's a possibility. It's definitely
it's we're going in deep waters here, when we're talking about this. But I'm just saying, think about it, man.
All right, and I think we got someone back from the locker room. We didn't even realize, but hey, he's coming back from his injury again. White Knight, what's your thoughts on Buddy Hield, man?
Back from the locker room, yes. What's disappointing right now and why he's so low is his field goal percentage. His field goal percentage right now is just under 39%, and last year he was at 49%. So, I mean, if that can go up and his efficiency can go up, that'll boost up that'll boost up his rankings for sure. And like LT said, he's not getting to the line at all. But he's never really gotten to the line a ton in his career. That's true. Last year was the highest, and it was just over 2 times a game. And then the year before that was just one time a game. So he's not much of a driver. He's not much of a, I'm going to create contact. I'm just going to sit by and hit these open threes.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think he comes back to earth. And by earth, I mean he comes back into the top 75 here soon. You know, he won't stay a top 150 player, which is basically either the last round or undrafted. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely have hope. And like Stark says, if you can buy low, please do.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, guys, is start letting you guys off because I'm going to finish the games for the end of the night to give a little bit of extra content. So before, I let you guys off, where can they find you at there, LT, on Twitter or Instagram? Where can I find you, brother?
Hey, man, yeah, they can find me on Instagram _ Sage Network _, and then on Twitter you can find me at Sage Network X. Also, we just created our Facebook and our YouTube page. So this is the first one. I'm gonna try to get this working, try to post this up on those pages and create links and shoot them through our social medias to you guys. So look out for those coming through.
And let me steal the ball and pass it back to you because it only makes sense for you to get a clutch shot. Do you have a clutch shot for the listeners before you get off?
To be honest, that is my clutch shot. I was going to be my clutch shot. Actually, is to go into. We're really going to be going into trying to get the media side of it going for you guys, getting more of that interactive feel to it. As we go over information throughout the fantasy, I'm going to be having live stats going on, and usually whenever we go over games, I'll have those games running in the background too, maybe highlights or something like that, just so you guys can get more of an immersive feel. So I'll try to bring that to the forefront for you guys, and please follow our YouTube, subscribe, and we'll get that going.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a handle soon. We'll let you guys know pretty soon. So I'm going to pass you the ball. I'm going to pass you the ball there. Lewis, do you have a clutch shot before you get off here?
No, not too much, man. I'll just go ahead and say,
where can they find you at?
At the mall.
Find me, man. They'll find me wandering the earth like
Wait a second.
Food, man. It's funny. I ended up passing up Jules from Pulp Fiction, man. So
yeah, you're benched, man. No, go ahead. What you got, man?
No. That's all I want to say, man. They can find me in the fantasy world, man. Giving L's to other competitors.
Oh my gosh, Jacob! I'm gonna pass you the ball, Jacob. Where can they find you at, brother? And go ahead and take that clutch shot as well, man.
Absolutely, brother. You can find me on Twitter at Ain't Done Yet, and done is spelled Dunne. I want you guys to follow me, so just in case you need some streamers on those slow days. My clutch shot is I'm going to be streaming, or I'm going to be giving my streaming my top streamers here on. I gave some today. I'm going to give some on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday and Saturday are the slow games. So definitely want to stack up those streamers. And then Sunday, I always want to give you guys some streamers just in case you're battling those final stats, and you need a little extra. So be on the lookout, follow me, and be on the lookout for those streamers and for the articles coming up. And I just wanted to say God bless all you listeners, and thank you so much for listening to us.
Yeah, and just to highlight on something, we appreciate especially LT to Sage pulling up the YouTube and Facebook to get this out there. It's going to be awesome content. We appreciate you doing it. And then obviously, White Knight, man, that streaming article blew up. A lot of viewers on it, and we're doing extra stuff on the streaming, so it's appreciated. It's humbled. I'm blessed to have you guys to join the team. And then Lewis, man, you're always a welcome. I appreciate you, brother. Love you guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. I tried. I'm sorry, if I miss some of the episodes, but I'm off, taking care of.
Yeah, because you keep stealing fans from me, but like you can just come in anytime you want.
I know what you're talking about, man.
But anyways, I'm going to finish this episode, guys. I thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to finish the rest of the games for the listeners.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
My pleasure, brother.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
God bless you. All right, y'all. Take care.